So I have an abstract question for you. Bach, Mozart, Beethoven. Which one, if they were alive today, would go for a synthesizer? So this is a crazy question that I want to explore with you. Today's going to be part one of a 3-part episode. I was going to try to cram them all into one episode, but then I realized that I will probably go off on tangents talking about different composers. I do love classical music. Mozart in particular is my favorite. But today we are going to focus more on Bach. Now, I'm going to go into this piece of music particularly because it is a beautiful piece of music. I don't care how many of you are right now are like, wait, it's not Halloween. Yeah, that's right. It's not Halloween. This is not a Halloween piece of music. It is a sick piece of music in the best way possible, because if you're a theory nerd like me, and I really try not to make these episodes specific for musicians, but as a theory nerd, I just want to delve into the absolute beauty of this. It is just amazing. Like, you can take pieces of this and just go deep. Before we really dive into Bach and all of the toccata and fugue-ness that we'll be delving into, I just want to go over a quick summary of what a synthesizer is. You take 2 oscillators, you take a wave form. It can be a square wave, it can be a sine wave, and you can combine these different waves. And then there's tons of other waves I'm not even going to get into. It is a computer generated sound. In order to create sound, you need to become so in tune with the building blocks of what creates a sound. If you're going to build an organ, which Bach loved, then a synthesizer can do it. Right now, this. Side note, I don't like the sound of an organ, but this is a cool sound, I gotta say. This is a synthesized sound. So my question, what were these composers like? And like I said, today is just gonna be about Bach. What kind of person was Bach? Would he take to new ideas? Would he be interested? Would he be compulsive enough to really learn the tech of how to build sound? Because it's like a quirky, weird thing, but people who are really into synthesizers and really into creating sound engineering to create sound from the ground up, it's just an addictive thing, and you can go down such a deep rabbit hole when you do. That's one criteria. Also, I want to talk about the similarities of the different instruments that different composers used more often than not. Okay, so what type of person was Bach? So we're going to use the toccata and fugue in D minor to kind of explore this question. First of all, he fits the criteria of being obsessive about music. When he was young, he wanted to learn to read music, to compose music. So in the middle of the night, he would sit there and he would transcribe other composers' pieces of music onto blank sheet music just to get the feel for it. To do that by hand is like, let's be honest, it's 2023. Like, you don't want to do that.
No, don't like that.
Obsessive, yes. So another example of how Bach was obsessive, he really wanted to see this organ player known all throughout Europe, really famous at the time. He walked from where he lived all the way over to this town, 400 kilometers, which translates to, I believe, something like 248 miles. I think that fits the criteria of being obsessive and, being that passionate about the art form. As I mentioned, he was super into the organ. So, there is a huge place for an organ sound in synthesized music. Okay, so toccata and fugue in D minor. it's just like a huge intro. And then we get like this fun thing. It's just beautiful. And I want you to get a good impression of it. For those of you that don't know what the title of this even means, toccata is one type of category of a piece of music, and a fugue is another category of a type of music. And it's basically two different styles of composition in one piece, kind of like Row, Row, Row Your Boat, where there's a musical idea, and when you get to a certain point in the music, that same musical idea is going to repeat that whole line that was just played. Okay, so I have already pre-selected a organ sound that is a synthesizer, but it's just not organy to the point where you're like, well, it's still just basically an organ. No, it's gonna sound like a synth. It's a cool synth. All right, so that was pretty cool. But I want more. I want to go in a different direction from the organ altogether. sure that was a lot. I mean, honestly, I feel like I was watching somebody play a video game when I was just watching this, because when it's not an organ, it sounds like a video game the way I had it. But not so Halloween like now, huh? I think he would have totally gone for a synthesizer. I mean, his music works. He really got into the art. He wasn't shy. He didn't lean away from hard work. He was obsessive. He really delved into the art of it. And I think Bach would have gone for synthesizers. That's my vote. But that's not the question. The question is, which of those three composers would have probably most gone for composing for the synthesizer? On a scale from 1 being that he's traditional instruments only, to 10, get him set up with a Moog and a whole rack of synthesizers, I would rank him at an 8 in potential synthesizer curiosity. I hope you enjoyed this extensive lesson. This is, like I said, episode 1 of 3. Subscribe, by the way, so that you're notified and you're in the loop of people who are alerted when my videos come out, so you'll know when the next one comes out. Check back next week, and we're gonna be going over some Mozart. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.